So you want to be an Infernus main. You're sick of being set on fire all while you watch the perpetrator flame dash you down. It's time for you to be the one setting everyone else on fire and cooking up some enemy heroes. In this video guide, we will be going over the playstyles you want to strive for with Infernus, a very strong build for Infernus with skill upgrade paths, his strengths, and his weaknesses. Infernus can be a very powerful character in the right hands, but learning how to effectively damage with his dot, damage over time, can be very tricky for players who are used to bursty damage. Infernus likes to slow burn before becoming a flaming ball of I'm your problem now, so sit back, relax, and let's go over his strengths and weaknesses. Every character has strengths that they should lean into. Let's go over some of the strengths that Infernus has and what makes him such a powerful character. Infernus has insane damage over time abilities like Afterburn and Flame Dash. Both of these dot abilities stack with each other. Watch them burn to a crisp after you use both of these abilities on any enemy hero. Flame Dash is one of the best escape abilities in the game, allowing for insane damage or a safe retreat. Any opponent following through Flame Dash is going to have a bad time when they check their HP. Infernus has one of the best basic attacks in the game. With its high velocity and insane fire rate, holding down the trigger will feel amazing in all situations. His ult, Concussive Combustion, is an insane AoE stun that can change the tide of any fight, making anybody close stop in their tracks. Spirit Lifesteal procs from all of his dot damage, so his survivability when Infernus can successfully ignite Afterburn and use Flame Dash goes through the roof. Catalyst is a built-in damage amplification that can catch opponents off guard with how much damage you started doing almost out of nowhere. Infernus has such great strengths that he has to be brought down with some weaknesses. That insane dot comes with the trade-off that Infernus has zero consistent burst damage outside of his first ability, Catalyst. This means you need to proc Afterburn in every fight or you will get outdamaged very quickly. The only way for Infernus to proc his dot damage consistently is from a very close range, as Afterburn builds up slower from further out, with his bullets starting their drop off at 22 meters and a full drop off at 58 meters. Meaning Infernus has to commit when he wants to ignite enemy heroes getting into a dangerous range. Disarm gets its own weakness slot since all of Infernus's kit relies on his basic attack setting up Afterburn. As soon as your finger guns are disarmed, you better hit Flame Dash. Infernus has such slow base speed that if Flame Dash is on cooldown from an item like Slowing Hex, be ready for Infernus to be Ash. Infernus has a one-trick game plan that can make it very easy to outplay him in a lot of situations. You're gonna have to play out of your mind and be tricky to make sure that you can use his strengths to your advantage. When it comes to playstyles, Infernus has one main goal and one main goal alone, activating Afterburn, which is Infernus' third ability. This passive ability builds up a burning effect on enemies for 9% per bullet unless it's a headshot, which is a buildup of 14% per bullet. You must hit 100% to start the burn effect. This will cause Afterburn to damage the enemy hero for 15 spirit damage, scaling with spirit power per second, lasting for 3 seconds before upgrades. You're probably sitting there thinking, 3 seconds is not enough, and you would be right, but the next step of Infernus' game plan is to keep this effect up on the same enemy hero. The way you are able to do this comes in two ways. The most common way is hitting them with any bullet. This will restart the 3-second duration, even if you hit them in the toes. The next way you will be able to keep the Afterburn duration up is by using any of Infernus' other abilities, whether it's Catalyst, Flame Dash, or Concussive Combustion. This will be your main combat loop against other heroes in most situations. You'll be looking to build up your Afterburn, then Flame Dash them down, hitting them with Catalyst on the way. This sets up a 20% damage amp and a 35% slow from Catalyst, and every step in the trail Flame Dash leaves resets Afterburn's duration again. Now where does Infernus' ult come into this game plan? The main idea for his ult is to combo it with Flame Dash when you notice the enemy hero has already used their escape. Think of Haze Dagger or Kelvin Ice Path. This does not mean you can't throw it out in your main combo or without Flame Dash. Keep in mind, Infernus still has that low base speed, and using Flame Dash for all this extra damage could leave you in a bad spot. Infernus' whole kit can become very hit and run, utilizing Flame Dash, Afterburn, Catalyst, everything you can to dip in and do some damage and get out. You're going to be the playmaker of your team a lot of times. You're going to do some entry damage and you're going to do entry stuns. Use your best judgment and know if you need to Flame Dash in for that entry damage and stun, or if you need to Flame Dash out and reset with your team. This will help you stay in your loop. Let's quickly go over what Infernus' kit has to offer and what I think his best skill upgrade path is going to be. Infernus' first ability is called Catalyst. This ability throws a small napalm in front of Infernus that amplifies damage by 20% for 8 seconds and adds a 35% movement slow for 4 seconds. This also hits the enemy hero for 50 spirit damage, scaling with Infernus' spirit power. Catalyst has a base cooldown of 25 seconds. Catalyst also doesn't have a lot of range, so you have to get very close to activate it. The first upgrade Catalyst gets is 1 extra charge. If you throw 1 charge, it will take 6 seconds before you are allowed to throw another one. The second upgrade Catalyst gets is 15% lifesteal against enemy heroes affected by Catalyst. This does stack with any other types of lifesteal you have. The final upgrade Catalyst gets is an insane extra 20% damage amp and a 40% regen/healing reduction to any opponent hit, really fitting into the damage over time playstyle. This gives you a total of 40% damage amp. Infernus' second ability is called Flame Dash. This is the ability that everyone hates when they see Infernus. This ability moves Infernus forward at 12 meters a second and 20 meters a second while holding the dash key. This ability lasts for 3 seconds, leaving a flame trail on the ground for 4 seconds beneath Infernus. Flame Dash does 40 spirit damage a second, scaling with spirit power. Flame Dash does have a very long cooldown of 40 seconds, which can feel like it's always on cooldown, but that's okay, you have upgrades that are going to help this. The first upgrade for Flame Dash is anyone stepping on the trail gets a 30% fire rate slow for 6 seconds, which makes chasing Infernus a pain. The next upgrade Flame Dash gets is a whopping 45 spirit damage increase that adds up for a total of 85 damage a second while they are stepping on Flame Dash's trail. The final upgrade for Flame Dash is a 19-second cooldown reduction on Flame Dash, making it active every 21 seconds. This allows you to have more aggressive pushes with Flame Dash without being caught off with it on cooldown. Infernus' third ability, Afterburn. This is Infernus' bread and butter. This is what every Infernus builds towards. Afterburn is a passive ability that makes your bullets build up a burning effect for 9% per bullet unless you hit them in the head, which makes that bullet build up 14%. Once the opponent hits 100%, this will apply a burning effect that damages them for 15 spirit damage, scaling with spirit power, and lasts for 3 seconds. If you cannot build up to 100% quick enough, it will start decaying over 15 seconds depending on how close you were to 100%. Any abilities or bullets that hit them during Afterburn's ignite will reset the 3-second duration. The first upgrade Afterburn gets is any opponent burning from Afterburn will deal 25% less spirit damage. This goes perfectly for our tanky attrition build. The next upgrade for Afterburn extends the burn for an extra 1 second. This adds up to 4 seconds of burn duration. This also scales with any duration items you end up getting. The last upgrade Afterburn gets is an increase of 30 spirit damage to Afterburn while they are burning for a total of 45 damage a second, scaling with spirit power. Infernus' ultimate ability is called Concussive Combustion. This ability turns Infernus into a ticking time bomb. 3 seconds after activating this ability, he will explode in an AoE stun of 12 meters, dealing 160 spirit damage, scaling with spirit power, and stunning for 1.25 seconds. Concussive Combustion has a 127-second cooldown before any upgrades. The first upgrade that Concussive Combustion gets is a minus 38-second cooldown reduction, leading up to only 89 seconds of cooldown after the first upgrade. The second upgrade Concussive Combustion gets is an increase of 0.5 seconds for the stun and a 4-meter radius increase on the explosion, adding up to a 1.75 second stun and a 16-meter radius for the explosion. The final upgrade for Concussive Combustion is an increase of 115 damage to the initial explosion, and you will heal 100% of the damage from the explosion. This adds up to 275 spirit damage, scaling with spirit power, and a good chunk of healing. Now that you've gotten a decent overview of what Infernus' kit has and what the upgrades are for Infernus' skills, let's go over what I think is personally the best upgrade path for Infernus. I think the first skill that you want to get is Afterburn. This allows you to instantly harass an early lane and start dwindling your opponent's health really early. There is a debate to my next choice, as Damage Amp from Catalyst is an insane damage increase in the early game. But even with that damage, we still have to lean into Flame Dash here for a couple of reasons. One, Flame Dash is going to be really good at getting rid of the early minion waves. You just have to make sure you get your confirms. 2, you're going to be able to get those early kills. You just have to chase them in the shop or maybe chase them behind the Guardian. It's risky, but it can be played off. If you don't want to use it aggressively, Flame Dash allows you to get out of a lot of sticky situations and make it so your early lane feels safer. Next, you're going to be putting 1 point into Afterburn. Then you're going to go through your standard upgrades of getting your first skill into your ultimate, which leads us into what ability we are going to be maxing first. And if it isn't obvious, we are going to be maxing Afterburn, as the whole playstyle revolves around this ability, so push all of your points into it until it's maxed. Next, we will get the first upgrade in our Catalyst and Concussive Combustion for their strong first point upgrades. Following this into maxing Flame Dash to keep our escapes constantly off cooldown and to increase our killing power. Then we can end our upgrade paths by maxing out Catalyst into Concussive Combustion. So you're probably ready for some builds now. You understand how the kit works, you know which skills you're going to be going for, now you need to know what items you're going to be buying. But I think it's first good to understand what items Infernus always wants. Infernus is always hungry for stats, but not every stat is going to fill Infernus up, so you got to make sure he's ready to burn every enemy to ash with the right stats. By far, the most important stat for Infernus is any item that adds spirit power. Spirit power is what scales all of Infernus' dot, whether it's Flame Dash or Afterburn. You need spirit power to make your first degree burn turn into a third degree burn. Infernus also has to be on the lookout for ability duration. It seems like a no-brainer, but I've seen too many builds focus just on spirit power and not realize that you can make the crazy dot Infernus has last until they bite the dust. Instead of them living with 300 HP on the rail home, they're gonna crumble before they get there. Spirit Lifesteal is the next best friend here, as Infernus has multiple ways to start triggering it. As Flame Dash and Afterburn both have separate dot damage, it's gonna lead up to multiple Spirit Lifesteal procs. This leads Infernus to always be on the lookout to out-heal his opponents while he puts them down. The last stat that I personally think that Infernus should always be on the lookout for is ammo percentage up, as you need almost 13 bullets with no headshots to ignite, so having the extra ammo and less downtime reloading will always keep your Afterburn duration constantly up. With this broader understanding of what items Infernus is looking out for, I'm going to show you the build that I like to use for Infernus, especially when I was learning Infernus. This is called Kata's Live Forever Infernus. This build is based on staying alive while you watch your enemies burn from the dot damage. This build leans into the realization that Infernus is not a bursty character, they're a character that makes fights last while you out-heal and out-damage any hero that you face. One thing I did with this build is make sure I have everything set left to right, so it's very easy to understand what you're going to be buying when you head to shop. It's also outlined what you're going to be selling, as every item that you're selling is just going to be a level 1 500 item. The upgrade path that I outlined earlier is also built into the build, so you're never going to have to think about where your points go. You can just stay on the right path and focus on your early lane. This build focuses on those main stats that we talked about earlier, using items in the early game like Enduring Spirit, Infuser, and Basic Magazine. Then when we get to mid game, we're going to switch over to items like Duration Extenders, Soul Shredder Bullets, and Toxic Bullets to further our game plan in the mid game. Those items in the mid game are going to help you get to the end game, where you're going to get items like Leech, Escalating Exposure, and Spiritual Overflow. All of this is going to come together in the build to make it so you feel like you're never dying, but you're always outputting damage. So we're going to talk about two of the most important items in most Infernus builds. We're going to talk about Toxic Bullets, and we're going to talk about Ricochet and how that item can sometimes be a trap. We're going to first start with Toxic Bullets though. This item is the best item in every Infernus build. The first effect that this gives us isn't really going to help us. It's an extra 100 bonus health. That's nice, but that's not why we care about this item. The main effect of Toxic Bullets is adding a bleed buildup to the effect of your bullets. This bleed effect works almost exactly like Afterburn, where each bullet is going to build up 9.9% bleed, and when that reaches 100%, the enemy hero is going to take 2.5% max HP per second, and their healing is going to be reduced by 65%, which is an insane amount. Both of these effects last for 3 seconds. So I hope it makes sense why this item slots so well into this build in almost any Infernus build. The last item I want to talk about here today is Ricochet, which in my opinion is a huge trap to rush in most games. I have seen too many players rush Ricochet and then question why they're not doing enough damage even though they're hitting every single enemy hero. So let's talk about what Ricochet gives to the build that we're doing here. Ricochet gives us 35% more ammo, 10% more fire rate, and 150 bonus HP. Now again, that doesn't fit into our build perfectly. It gives us the ammo, but it doesn't actually give duration, it doesn't give spirit power, it doesn't give lifesteal. So what Ricochet does, and with its main effect, is it makes our bullets ricochet. This does activate bullet effects like Afterburn and Toxic Bullets, but the problem with this item is, again, unless you have other items to work with it, all you're doing is tickling the enemy heroes. It's really good in team fights, it's really good in cluster fights, but it's not good in a 1-on-1. You're gonna start seeing your damage fall off. It doesn't bring you anything to Infernus's overall game plan. So you need to be careful before you get this item. You don't want to rush it. You need to make sure that you build up your overall damage. You need to make sure that you're very strong. And then when you finally feel like you're strong enough where if you were just hitting some more people, you would make a huge difference in fights, then you're gonna get Ricochet. Then you're gonna really feel the strength of Ricochet and you're gonna expand your build. So now that you've made it to the end of this video, you finally have some playstyle tips for Infernus, you know his strengths, weaknesses, you got some items that you want to try. I'm really happy that you made it to the end of this video. I want to say thank you. I put some time into this video, playing Infernus, learning Infernus, writing the script. If you liked it, I would like if you left a like, comment, and subscribed. I do stream on Twitch every day at Kate of the Owl, and I plan on making a lot more guides. If you have any tips on what I could improve on, please let me know, and please have a good time playing Deadlock, and I'll see you to the next video.